welcome to UTC News.
Hello and welcome to UTC News.
On the show today, we report the impact of the EU referendum result, DC Entertainment's newest venture, England's future after the step down of their manager, and lucky blue lobsters causing a craze in Canada.
As the aftermath of the EU referendum grows uncomfortably, the civil uninterested continues to grow.
In this latest development, Prime Minister David Cameron has said that there is absolutely no way that he will undergo a second referendum.
The referendum has hit the country hard, to say the least, with the pound dropping to its lowest value since 1985, less than 12 hours after the results were announced.
Turmoil also struck the country when a video featuring UKIP frontman Nigel Farage insisting that he never promised £350 million a week to the NHS went viral among social media.
Just a day after the Brexit vote, Prime Minister David Cameron announced that he will be resigning as Prime Minister as part of his post-referendum speech.
Here is Mr Cameron's speech in full.
Good morning, everyone. The country has just taken part in a giant democratic exercise, perhaps the biggest in our history. Over 33 million people from England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland and Gibraltar have all had their say. We should be proud of the fact that in these islands we trust the people with these big decisions. We not only have a parliamentary democracy, but on questions about the arrangements for how we're governed, there are times when it is right to ask the people themselves, and that is what we have done. The British people have voted to leave the European Union, and their will must be respected. I want to thank everyone who took part in the campaign on my side of the argument, including all those who put aside party differences to speak in what they believed was the national interest. And let me congratulate all those who took part in the Leave campaign for the spirited and passionate case that they made. The will of the British people is an instruction that must be delivered. It was not a decision that was taken lightly, not least because so many things were said by so many different organisations about the significance of this decision. So there can be no doubt about the result. Across the world, people have been watching the choice that Britain has made. I would reassure those markets and investors that Britain's economy is fundamentally strong. And I would also reassure Brits living in European countries and European citizens living here that there will be no immediate changes in your circumstances. There will be no initial change in the way our people can travel, in the way our goods can move, or the way our services can be sold. We must now prepare for a negotiation with the European Union. This will need to involve the full engagement of the Scottish, Welsh and Northern Ireland governments to ensure that the interests of all parts of our United Kingdom are protected and advanced. But above all, this will require strong, determined and committed leadership. I'm very proud and very honoured to have been Prime Minister of this country for 6 years. I believe we've made great steps, with more people in work than ever before in our history, with reforms to welfare and education, increasing people's life chances, building a bigger and stronger society, keeping our promises to the poorest people in the world, and enabling those who love each other to get married whatever their sexuality. But above all, restoring Britain's economic strength. And I'm grateful to everyone who's helped to make that happen. I've also always believed that we have to confront big decisions, not duck them. That is why we delivered the first coalition government in 70 years to bring our economy back from the brink. It's why we delivered a fair, legal and decisive referendum in Scotland. And it's why I made the pledge to renegotiate Britain's position in the European Union and to hold a referendum on our membership, and have carried those things out. I fought this campaign in the only way I know how, which is to say directly and passionately what I think and feel, head, heart and soul. I held nothing back. I was absolutely clear about my belief that Britain is stronger, safer and better off inside the European Union. And I made clear the referendum was about this and this alone, not the future of any single politician, including myself. But the British people have made a very clear decision to take a different path. And as such, I think the country requires fresh leadership to take it in this direction. I will do everything I can as Prime Minister to steady the ship over the coming weeks and months. But I do not think it would be right for me to try to be the captain that steers our country to its next destination. This is not a decision I've taken lightly, but I do believe it's in the national interest to have a period of stability and then the new leadership required. There is no need for a precise timetable today, but in my view, we should aim to have a new Prime Minister in place by the start of the Conservative Party conference in October. Delivering stability will be important, and I will continue in post as Prime Minister with my Cabinet for the next 3 months. The Cabinet will meet on Monday. The Governor of the Bank of England is making a statement about the steps that the Bank and the Treasury are taking to reassure financial markets. We will also continue taking forward the important legislation that we set before Parliament in the Queen's speech. And I've spoken to Her Majesty the Queen this morning to advise her of the steps that I'm taking. A negotiation with the European Union will need to begin under a new Prime Minister. And I think it's right that this new Prime Minister takes the decision about when to trigger Article 50 and start the formal and legal process of leaving the EU. I will attend the European Council next week to explain the decision the British people have taken and my own decision. The British people have made a choice. That not only needs to be respected, but those on the losing side of the argument, myself included, should help to make it work. Britain is a special country. We have so many great advantages. A parliamentary democracy where we resolve great issues about our future through peaceful debate. A great trading nation with our science and arts, our engineering and our creativity respected the world over. And while we are not perfect, I do believe we can be a model of a multiracial, multi-faith democracy where people can come and make a contribution and rise to the very highest that their talent allows. Although leaving Europe was not the path I recommended, I am the first to praise our incredible strengths. I've said before that Britain can survive outside the European Union, and indeed that we could find a way. Now the decision has been made to leave, we need to find the best way. And I will do everything I can to help. I love this country, and I feel honoured to have served it. And I will do everything I can in future to help this great country succeed. Thank you very much.
In other news, on the 24th of May, Warner Brothers studio tour Hollywood DC Entertainment revealed their newest attraction, DC Universe.
The exhibit will be featuring superheroes and supervillains that Warner Brothers have deemed the greatest.
The exhibit has made its home on the first floor feature in the archive, taking its place as one of the many stops on the Warner Brothers Hollywood studio tour.
Guests are able to see the authentic props and costumes in the coming up summer film Suicide Squad up to 2 months before the debut of the film in theatres.
Also, for any Batman fans out there, the exhibit will include the Bat Lab and the Batcave from Batman vs Superman, Dawn of Justice.
Not only is there all of this, but the exhibit will also pay tribute to the origins of DC Comics, such as all 7 heroes from the Justice League.
Well, I think it's definitely clear that all loyal DC fans, comic lovers and whoever may be interested should definitely make a trip down to the DC Universe exhibit at Warner Brothers Studio Hollywood tour.
And now for the sports. After an absolutely crushing defeat from Iceland on Monday, England manager Roy Hodgson has announced his resignation.
This comes as a decision made by Hodgson moments before the game finished. It is believed he disappeared down the players' tunnel and sketched his resignation speech in less than 5 minutes.
My contract was always up after the Euros, so now is the time for someone else to oversee the progress of this young, hungry and extremely talented group of players. They've been fantastic and they've done everything that's been asked of them.
It is still unannounced who the next manager may be.
And now over to our Letitia with the weather.
As you can see, thank you. As you can see, there's a cold front coming in from the Arctic and it's about 8 degrees in the north, getting warmer towards the south with highs of 12 degrees, and hopefully into the weekend we'll see a warmer, brighter weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Letitia.
And we will finish on a positive note.
Could you imagine blue lobsters? Well, imagination is reality after 2 have been caught off the eastern coast of Canada near Nova Scotia within 2 days of each other.
The rare blue lobster is the same as any other lobster. However, scientists say that a genetic defect causes the lobster to generate too much of a particular protein, causing them to turn blue.
The fisherman who caught these lobsters was given positive comments, as in general history, to find these rare lobsters, it's a sign of good future.
Fortune.
Fortune.
One fact is that the University of Maine Lobster Institute is among those to have quoted the odds in the past, though its executive director, Rob Bayer, admits they are merely a guess.
But another person called David Spielschalter, Professor of for the Public Understanding Risk at Cambridge University in the UK, is inclined to pour a bit of cold water over the story.
They say that around 100 blue lobsters are caught every year if the 1 in 2 million odds are correct.
Well, I guess they don't catch that many a year.
In the trending fashion of things, this is where we hand in our resignations to match the other 2.
But only until next time. Thank you. Take care.